Okay, when I say the word core, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, right, it's a six-pack, washboard abs. But what if I told you that the six-pack we see everywhere is really just the front door to a much bigger, way more powerful house? Today, we're going to rethink what the core actually is. We're going way beyond the surface to understand its real power. So let's start with a really basic question. When you go to lift something heavy, or you brace yourself, or you even just stand up straight, what is it that's really holding you stable? And here's a hint. It is not just your abs. I mean, think about it. Focusing only on your abs is like trying to build a strong house by just reinforcing the front wall. True strength, real stability, needs a whole system. To really get our heads around this, we need two new ways of thinking. So forget the six-pack for a minute. Instead, I want you to picture a box and a piston. Kind of weird, I know, but these two ideas, they're about to unlock the real secret to your body's power. So let's start with that first idea, the core box. Honestly, this is a way better mental model for that powerhouse that stabilizes your whole torso. It's not flat. It's a full-on three-dimensional structure. So picture this core box. It's got four sides that give you 360 degrees of support. Up front and on the sides, you've got this muscle that acts like a built-in corset. Around back, you've got what's basically a short, powerful cable protecting your spine. But the parts we almost always forget are the roof and the floor. That's your diaphragm and your pelvic floor. Let's start at the top with the roof. So yeah, at the very top of this box, you've got the roof, your diaphragm. This is probably one of the most overlooked muscles in fitness, but it's absolutely critical for core stability. You can see it here. It's this big dome-shaped muscle that sits right under your lungs. It literally separates your chest from your abdomen, forming the ceiling of your core. And here's the coolest part. The diaphragm has two jobs. It's our main breathing engine, we all know that, but as it contracts and pushes down with every breath, it also ramps up the pressure inside your abdomen. This creates what's basically an internal airbag that braces your spine from the inside. That's where you get that incredible stability. All right, so every good box needs a solid base, right? If the diaphragm is the roof, then the floor of your core is your pelvic floor. Now, the pelvic floor is this incredible hammock of muscles that supports all your internal organs. But for stability, its most important job is to respond to the diaphragm. It works in this perfect partnership with the roof to manage all that internal pressure, stabilizing your lower back and your pelvis from the bottom up. And that's why practices like Pilates put so much focus on consciously engaging and lifting the pelvic floor. It's not just some random muscle cue. It's about completing the system. You're sealing the core box, turning it into a truly pressurized, supportive structure. Okay, so we've got the box, we've got the roof, and we've got the floor. But how do they all actually work together? Well, this is where our second idea comes in, the piston system. It's actually super simple when you break it down. It's a two-step motion that is perfectly synchronized with your breath. When you breathe in, the piston, made up of your diaphragm and pelvic floor, moves down. When you breathe out, it moves up. This whole thing is like a beautiful coordinated dance. Watch this. When you inhale, your diaphragm contracts and moves down. To make room, your pelvic floor has to relax and descend just a little bit. Then, when you exhale, everything reverses. The diaphragm relaxes and rises, and the pelvic floor contracts and lifts up to meet it, all while your deep abs gently hug in. It's perfect teamwork. Okay, this is my favorite analogy for all of this. If you remember one thing, remember this. Think of a syringe. The diaphragm is the plunger. As it pushes down, it creates pressure. But that pressure is only useful if the base, the pelvic floor, is secure and sealed. It's this sealed, dynamic system that gives you that unshakable stability. So why does any of this matter? Why is it so important to shift from thinking six-pack to thinking core box? What does it mean for your actual strength and health? It's because true core strength is never one-dimensional. It's not just about what you can see in the mirror. It is a complete 360-degree system of support that wraps around, protects, and stabilizes your entire torso. So if there's one big takeaway today, it's this. Real, powerful stability doesn't come from just having strong abs. It comes from the synchronized synergy of the entire core box. The front, the back, the roof, and the floor, all working together in harmony with every single breath you take. And that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. Now that you know your core is a complete system, take a look at your own training. Are you actually training all the parts? Or have you just been polishing the front door while leaving the rest of the house totally unsupported?